जावेदानी.
I didn't have that, growing up, but I have that today. And I just need to continue to say that to my daughter. I told my daughter our way of life is being on the land, being in those ceremonies. My daughter was at a sweat at 2 months old. Didn't touch the ground, had a walking out ceremony, and she touched the ground when she was 1 year old. Been to Sundance at 2 months. I already been to four different Sundances. Knows daddy's drum. Says boujou. At 17 months, she says boujou. Makwa. And she's like minding. She likes to dance when I sing for her. And that's like showing my daughter that good life and giving her that good life, what she deserves. And that's called breaking cycles for me and being a good father. And that's what I do, is I continue to pray for those ones that are struggling. I ask for new life for them, and I ask for healing and for them to come back to this way of life because they need it. Someone probably prayed for each and every single one of us to be sitting here today together. It's our purpose, to be sitting here together for these little ones to hear. It's we just got to be kind people. There's a lot of people out there that might say they're traditional, but I can honestly say that there's a lot of people out there that go to ceremony but are not applying those 7 sacred teachings into their lives. But I can say to you that I'm doing my best to live those up each and every single day, to be kind, to be loving, to have respect. And the number one teaching is that teaching of respect that comes from that masculine vision kid, that buffalo. That's my daughter, one of my daughter's name, but that's just part of her name. And I need to honor that teaching of respect for her. And I get to, because I need to do it. Because I'm just Creator's helper. I ask Spirit to speak through me. Maybe for one of you guys to actually really take in what I'm saying. Our people out there, the result of everything being taken away from us is why they're like that. And it's up to them, just like it was up to me, to break that cycle. And that's why it's important for them to be seen, to be heard, and to be acknowledged that they're a human being too. Who am I to go out there and judge them just because he's using drugs or he's drunk? He's still Creator's image. So with that, I say miigwech. I hope you enjoyed what I shared. There's 20 minutes left, and if there's any questions, you can ask us.
I have a question.
Yes.
For me, it's an important one, I think. I like the way you said your people have been disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably as good a description of it as I've heard. But you got reconnected, you yourself.
Yep.
Were reconnected. So my question is 2 parts. One, how did you reconnect? And my second, so after you tell us that, I'd like you to tell us, how do we, as non-Indigenous people, help you help your friends, your families reconnect? And I don't mean as a society necessarily. How do I get my kids and my family to help reconnect you? How do we do that?
So I connected, not reconnect, because I didn't really have a connection growing up. I connected through a friend, a childhood friend that I grew up with. When I sobered up, I reached out to him because I seen him doing culture, and I really wanted a spirit name, and he told me to go put tobacco down by a tree, and he said it would come to me. So I went and did that. I didn't know anything about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. Anyways, I went to go do that, and shortly after, like maybe a month later, he took me to a ceremony, to a sweat, and my first sweat, and that's when I met one of my first like teachers. I don't really talk to him no more, and he gifted me with my name, and I became a firekeeper for him for a while, and I just kept on firekeeping for people, and that's how I got connected, and that's like how I got connected with a lot of. I didn't know I came from a ceremonial family, Christian family in Saguin. My grandma, on my dad's side, is Isabel Christian. The Sundance that I belong to is the Thunderbird Sundance in the Christian Thunderbird Sundance in Saguin First Nation. And Eric Christian, but it's now, he passed it down to Dylan Christian. It's my family. And that's from my grandma. I didn't get to meet her because she passed away from liver failure because of alcohol long ago. But that's like how I believe, like that's how it was all meant to happen, because how I got connected was through Derek Christian, and he took me there, and I met him because I kept on trying to seek this good life, to seek this way of life, and then how we can like work together to help people. That's why we're all sitting here, collaboration, working together, and just asking, when do you know if there's a ceremony or a Sundance coming up, right? You can is there any cultural sessions happening, at maybe IJC, right? At the Mennonite Society. Yeah, we can have programs there, right? Or we can even do something here, bring drumming here, and just have like a drum night, on the big drum, or we can talk a little bit about the medicines, or teach them how to smudge, teach them about those 4 medicines, what we use them for, show them the pipes that we carry, right? Show them some rattles, just all those sort of things. We can do that for everyone here. So does that answer your question?
It does, actually. That's very helpful for me personally. But one more question. You said firekeeper. What does that mean?
Oh, me? A firekeeper is someone that's
That's
Scabe.
invaluable.
Scabe. Scabe is a firekeeper, so firekeepers are really important. So like a helper. I'm a helper for Creator, but as a firekeeper for a sweat lodge, you're setting up, like you're putting the stones of grandfathers on a fire pit. You're putting down like the bed of the wood there, and then you'll put down the grandfathers or grandmothers, we call them, those rocks, on that bed, and we'll put tobacco on those stones, right? And invite those spirits to come in, but also give thanks for that, to those grandmothers and grandfathers. That actually comes from that creation story of Nana Buju. So Nana Buju was kind of a bully, and he threw his brother Stoneboy in a fire, and then that Stoneboy passed away, but his spirit came up right away and told him that what you did is going to affect the world moving forward. And he said to him, his spirit said to him that I'm going to be recognized and acknowledged as a grandfather moving forward, and so are you. But I'm going to you're going to use me, that grandfather rock or that grandmother rock, and you're going to use me in a way to reset your thinking each and every day, or every week, or every month, to reset your body, to keep your body connected to spirit, to full of love. Because of that decision of what he did, he was just a bully. There's so many different creation stories about Nana Buju than he was, because there's a recreation story too, where he kills a little frog, and he uses that little frog at disguise, and he goes and saves his brother. His brother is the Mingan, that wolf. There's different stories. I can even just have creation stories we can talk about, but that's one of the reasons, like, we set up that, and that's our direct communication and connection with creators, that fire. And he brings them into the lodge. whatever that lodge conductor tells him to bring in, maybe he's bringing in 7, 13, 4, the firekeeper will bring it in. And his job is really like, without that firekeeper, there's no ceremony. You know, his job is really to like put tobacco. If they're saying burn tobacco, Scobby, then he'll go burn tobacco, because they're praying in there. So their prayers will be heard because they're offering that tobacco, and it's going up, and that Migazay, that eagle, will take it, and then as high as he can, and that thunderbird that some people can't see, takes it up to Creator. Anyways, I think that's more than enough. Yeah.
So it sounds like that firekeeper position, if that's what it can be defined as, is very ceremonial and very important within your structures, right? Of conducting ceremony.
Yeah. I believe we can, all of us be firekeepers, because we're just trying to do Creator's work, you know? That's what we're doing. We can call ourselves all firekeepers right now. You know, keeping that fire burning, you know? Yeah.
I have a question. And I mean, assembly like this for me would be remiss if I didn't share in regards to this, because it deeply pains me, and I think it's always a golden opportunity to address this reality. Throughout my studies of history, any chapter that I find where people have been so ruthlessly treated, to the degree that, and this is just past wrong, sometimes I really bring it to light that I worry that even at the present we haven't fully reconciled with this reality. That if you take a people and you really go out of your way to be so unempathetic, but you must see them as less than even animals, less than everything really. To really root out their language, break their families, drug them, manipulate them, exploit them, take away their culture, take away their books, take away their traditions, their understandings, indignify them, make them teach people to believe that they're less, to get an entire people behind you, because that's what it takes. Because it's not a few people with evil intent alone. They need to get a whole society to somehow be complicit. And when I look at the Indigenous story, it's still a relevant story today, because you're not gone in there. And I have to be very frank about that. And I don't mean it in any condescending way. I mean it in, I could imagine those who did this to you, maybe they would have wished that they were done with it. Because your existence is also above, among other things, but for me, a reality to show that how recent these events are, how continuous, how ongoing. Also, just in many ways, there's ways to reflect and understand. Me, admittedly, when I look at human history, I don't believe humans are innately evil, or even this level isn't something that's normal to me at all. I have to be very frank. When Columbus or when the Puritans first arrived here, the Indigenous, and they would archive that they were very generous, they were very receptive, they were very friendly, gift-giving, and accepting, and even more than willing to educate them and teach them and help them, give them a space. And throughout human history, you'll find most humans, as long as they're not taught to ever treat another person or be so insecure that they need to only believe that the other can be an enemy to them, they're quite pleased and happy eventually to have somebody to come to them. And I want to ask both of you, because I want to address this. I want this as to, I do fear that these are elements still are present because they haven't fully been reconciled or talked about. They haven't fully been explained away. And they haven't, I mean, a simple sorry for me doesn't tell the whole story for me, and nor does it tell me that we truly have shown that we're trying to, we're really done with that type of waste. If I can ask both of you, because both of you bring a different perspective. Reverend, to you, I would present it in the way that you come from an also religious tradition. And I'm studious on a lot of religious traditions, but the Abrahamic religions, of course, I'm very foremost studious of, and I try to study. And I know the word of God in all three of them is very clear in one of the most fundamental statements and profound central spirits of the whole teaching, is that you must be benefactors to the rest of the world, you must treat them with great justice, with great love, as you mentioned, in great peace. And that if you do the opposite, and it's very well archived in all of our traditions, it's unfortunate we forget, that is something that God is very displeased by, and that especially the nature of completely doing to a human what I've just heard, and what I don't want to detail the stories, they're very egregious. That is destructive to us as a spirit, as a people. It is very telling. I want to ask both of you, at present, this colonial, this colonization kind of thinking, possibly even imperial thinking, this very egregious type of brutish, unhumane kind of way of thinking. From the religious tradition, how come it has happened so much? And what are the mechanisms to preserve that it cannot be happening again? And Tim, to you, I would present it in whatever way you would want to basically speak for it. So the Reverend, I would come to you first.
Well, when I look out at things, usually from my perspective, is a kind of like a theological one, if you will, God talking about it. But for me, my approach is every single human being God has graciously and lovingly created is created in God's image. So one would hope that in God's image, which is of one of created in love, you would expect that love to be shown. What we know by reality from human nature is that human nature, whether we like it or not, often gets us into difficulty. Who here hasn't been in an argument with their brother or their sister? That argument can sometimes become bitter, and the bitterness can even lead to murder. So also within the human being is the potential for, that's how we know evil exists, because human beings commit the wrong. No, it shouldn't be that way because you were created in love. But I don't think he set us down on the earth with a manual to crack open and say, well, other than the word of God, to say, here's the manual, if you will. If you read this and live it, you should be okay. There is a manual like that, per se. But within the human heart, the potential for good and evil exists in every human being. And if there's a difference, in my opinion, between an argument. We can have an argument, disagree. I mean, I don't have to accept everything you say and vice versa. But we don't have to take that argument into my taking out a knife and shoving it in your chest. When it goes beyond anger to rage and past that, that the human nature has the great potential untouched to do wrongs. And so, the story of humanity in our scriptures is proof of that. Human beings, look at Cain and Abel. I mean, brothers couldn't get along. I don't get along with my brother at times, but I wouldn't kill him. But it is proof that inherent in our own human nature is the ability to say, I love you, or I can't stand you, get out of my life. It is, if we act upon the inherent evil that might come up from time to time and sort of act on that, that's when if it's not corrective behavior, corrective behavior, I think you continue to deepen that anger, and it gets worse because others around you, if you think the same way, you're going to find others that will take you in the wrong direction, and who knows what kinds of difficulty and crimes we could commit into it. So humanity itself, no matter what part of the world you come from, has that inner kind of nature, if you will, that we wrestle with. So it's the way in which we know evil actually is out there and exists, because we commit it. And I think where you get into most difficulty when we democratically elect governments to work on our behalf for good in the world, and somehow that takes a distortion and it goes the wrong way. Sometimes politicians become dictators, and we've seen the kind of damage that does around the world. So and there's no easy fix for someone's inherent evil, other than what we try to do is recover as best we can from the mistake, if we made one. Say, I apologize for that mistake. Let me make amends to correct that behavior, and do the best we can then to love the person who's offended me. And if you don't if you don't accept that apology, I can't do anything about that. But I have at least done my part. So if we can live the life that demonstrates that kind of love, that's what my faith teaches me to do. To try to bring that kind of love to others.
Thank you. And Tim, if you would like to.
Yeah,
to look.
sure. One thing that I forgot to mention after taking all their stuff from us, right? And it's really the most important thing. One thing that they couldn't take from us is our spirit. And spirit is life, and without spirit there is no life. And I forgot to talk about too, like that's where the elders come. Like they take everything in a circle, and then I would talk about that's what one thing they couldn't take is that spirit from us. And that's why we have elders and knowledge keepers. We tell them, these young ones, why don't you go speak to him? He has some experience. He's an elder. He's been through a lot of life. Maybe he doesn't have the answer, but he can comfort that boy or that girl, right? He might just have that answer. Some of our elders, we don't have our knowledge keepers don't have all the answers, but we can talk to them and hear them. And going back to your question, there's negativity all over the world. It's always going to be there. I agree with you. We with the part where I think you said you believe we're not all evil. Or I think that's what you said. I can't human beings are not like that. Yes, but there's a lot of negativity out there. There will always be. That's what our elders talk about. But let's just be that light for them. Let's be that love. Let's be that example, I should just say. For these ones. Because they're watching us. And they're learning from us. So it's really important. But we're all just learning life too. So enjoy it. Because it's short, we all know, right?
I think I have a perspective that I put out a little bit to it.